In 1965, on the sweltering farm south of Miami, a village of Mennonites were heartbroken to realize that farm workers' children, little children, were spending their days in the fields with their parents. It was miserable and it was dangerous. So the Mennonites created a safe haven. They created Redlands Christian Migrant Association, and they opened 2 child care centers. To their dismay, most of the farm workers stayed away. Their babies stayed in the fields with them. Eventually, RCMA realized that farm workers would entrust their children only to caregivers from their own culture. So RCMA hired farm workers and trained them as teachers. And farm workers soon embraced RCMA as a trustworthy friend. Wonderful bonds formed, centers filled with little children, and they thrived. Mothers who had been trapped in farm work suddenly had new opportunities, and they were restarting their education. The early years were marked by the leadership of Wendell Rollison, who brought together a board of farmers and farm workers to work for the common good that continues to this day through rough times and good times.
Wendell Rollison was RCMA's second executive director. The first was a Mennonite gentleman named Raymond Martin. But they brought Wendell in because he knew how to work with the downtown politics of Miami, is how they looked at it, and they thought he could get the money. His interest, having been in a prison in Mexico for helping bring Cubans to this country, made him incredibly compassionate toward this cause. So he came in with a lot of passion, and he knew the right people to grab and get involved with him, whether it was politicians, whether it was staff like myself and the first nurse we hired, and the farm worker staff who were wonderful. So his passion and his slow talking way of doing business, he was comfortable, agriculture was comfortable with him, he was comfortable with agriculture.
But the leadership, staff, and volunteers still had much to learn in the early years. A simple task of taking away bottles at nap time was a breakthrough.
When I first came to RCMA in 1981, one of the first things I noticed was how often the kids were getting sick with ear infections. Every child got a bottle of milk at nap time. We saw a tremendous drop in ear infections and tooth decay when we stopped giving bottles at nap time.
Had to explain to the parents what we were doing at the center with their children during nap time, and at the parent meetings we would explain what to do at home, even if the child cries. The change that we implemented, it did work, and it worked at home also.
Today, RCMA has grown to some 70 child care centers in 21 Florida counties. Churches, houses, even an old feed store became RCMA centers around rural Florida. A Putnam County center is just one example.
I remember starting, the first time I came to this community and seeing the building for the first time, it was dark and dreary, and it was a dump. Kerosene heaters was in the middle of the floor, mildewy. But then we came and met with the community leaders across the street and started working with them to open up a beautiful facility. And over the past few years, we opened another facility that we built from the ground. And it has been a light for the community because most of our staff is from the community. They are happy, the community is happy.
Back in 1998, RCMA signed a contract with the Putnam County School Board and also the Save Our Children Incorporated in this community. We have been serving children since 1999. We serve as a beacon of light for this community. We're funded to serve 61 children, and we serve those 61 children. We're a rural area. We also do transportation. It provides hot meals for our children, 3 a day. They just love being here at our program.
Yet while the facilities are impressive, what RCMA is really all about is the children. Everything RCMA does is aimed at turning children into strong, capable leaders. And at that task, the success has been striking.
RCMA was a big influence because it laid a foundation of education very early on. And that's something that stuck with me all growing up, that education was basically something that was obligatory. It was something that I had to do.
There was somewhere where I could feel safe, where my parents felt that, I was safe, and then also getting an education for the academic skills that we needed, Parents didn't know really what they wanted to do in terms of education post-secondary, but they knew that they just wanted the best for us. My parents, not knowing the language skills or the academic background, couldn't necessarily help us with homework or activities or projects. So, this really gave us a kind of as a home, as a second home for us. The folks that are investing, that know that they're just not investing as a daycare program, that it's an investment in education, and it's an investment in the future lives of not only of those people, but the lives of those that that they're impacting. In that it's a huge investment. It's something that, as you know, you cannot put a price on. You cannot put a price in education. It's the one ticket out of poverty that many of us are looking for.
I think the thing that makes RCMA so special is that so many of us come from so many different walks of life. Although many of us come from a lower socioeconomic background, everyone has a different story. My mom was a physical therapist technician, while others' parents were migrant workers that worked in the field, and we had different, different folks with different languages. There were some that spoke Spanish, some that spoke English, some that spoke Creole. I think it was just a real special place because of the diversity that we had at RCMA. It was one of the places that I felt most love. A story that my mom often likes to tell is the tears that I had in my eyes at RCMA graduation, because I just didn't want to leave, because I felt like they were an extension of my family and that there was no way that I could go on without RCMA.
Working with a board member, being an intern, having worked in the RCMA, and also being a student at the RCMA has given me that viewpoint that I think I need to go on into my career in education, because I think that's very important to have different perspectives and know different people from just different areas of the Head Start as well.
The teachers and staff at RCMA are active and engaged. They love children. It shows in the daily learning, playing, and life skills that are taught in RCMA centers all over Florida. It's no wonder that students remember their years at RCMA fondly, come back to volunteer, and even serve on the board. For all its success, RCMA never forgets that parents are their children's first and most important teachers. Lourdes Villanueva was a fruit picker, then an RCMA parent, then an RCMA teacher, then an RCMA leader. Inspired by RCMA, Lourdes earned her bachelor's degree and, with her husband, put 3 children through college. Lourdes has worked for RCMA for 31 years.
I really had no plan, no intention. For all intents and purposes, I had my children, I was married, and I was going to do what I knew how to do, which was pick crops and work, so that I could provide, help my husband provide for the family. But through Barbara, I pretty much opened my eyes to what the possibilities, and that yes, it was possible for me to go to school, and that no, I didn't have to stop working to go to school, that I could do the night school, which I did, and I got my GED, and I was very proud, and of course I walked, and here comes Barbara, showed up to my graduation. And I was very happy, I'm done, okay, I did what you wanted me to do. And then she's like, okay, mijita, so when are you starting college? And I'm like, I graduated, I just graduated. And she's like, no. It took me plenty long, but I finally got my degree in social work.
Current parents in RCMA are following in her footprint, becoming leaders.
Bueno, primeramente quisiera dar las gracias a este programa de RCMA que me ha dado la oportunidad de desarrollarme como líder, más que nada a nivel del programa y también en la comunidad. Entonces, a través de tantas oportunidades que yo he tenido, me han abierto puertas para desarrollarme tanto como ser un buen padre y cómo seguir trabajando con la comunidad. Entonces, y con los demás papás de la comunidad y del centro.
Not to be overlooked is the relationship that RCMA has developed with the farmer over the years. Farm owners, grateful for RCMA's services, become generous supporters.
An awful lot of farm worker organizations want to paint the growers out as the bad guys and the rest of us as good guys. And RCMA realized there are good guys and bad guys in everything. And we set about working with the good guys in agriculture and brought them to the board along with parents. And that continues till today, 50 years. And that's working, and that's the reason that we've gone from 3 centers to 70 and a $65 million budget.
For over 50 years, Redlands Christian Migrant Association has been changing lives, opening doors to opportunities, and creating rural safe havens for children and families.
From the beginning and now, what RCMA is really about is producing leadership from among the children we care for. And we've done a great job.
Lots and lots of those RCMA babies doing very good things. And I would like to believe, and I really believe, that we have made a difference in those children's lives and their families.
RCMA has just helped me in so many ways, opened so many doors for me, and I'm always going to be thankful to RCMA for giving me that first experience of getting out of my comfort zone.